So I want to show you some things about planning your sketch. So I'm working from this image and I'm just using a little tongue depressor as my guide. And I know that this is a wide rectangle, so I'm going to recreate a wide rectangle, but I'm not going to be super precise about making sure the dimensions are quite right. I could, I suppose, but that's not necessary. What I want to show you is why I've got these little tick marks on the side. I'm essentially, and again, I'm eyeballing it, I'm not measuring it. I'm essentially giving myself a guide of where stuff is in the picture. So when I look at this picture, if I create myself some similar tick marks, right? And again, I'm just roughing it in. If I look and sort of divide this down the middle, I know that this guy is entirely over on this side, over on the right half. And if I divide it about halfway, like that, I know that his head just slightly crosses the center line. So that gives me a sense that that head goes about here, and that those shoulders go roughly there. But the other thing I can do is I can use his shoulders. I can use sort of the line, either the top edge of his body here, and I gotta make some decisions, right? Whether I go based on his shoulder or his hood. But I can pick that line out, and notice how I've set the measuring tool at that angle, and then I keep that angle when I come over here, so I can rough in that angle there. Now this is easier to do when we have straight edges. So I have this straight edge of the tables. I'm going to capture that. Notice that it starts almost at the corner. And of course what I did there is I moved my hand. Don't do that. So I'm going to bring that straight over, have it start almost at the corner, and rough that line in. Now there's a back edge of these tables, and that starts just underneath halfway here. And so I'm going to bring that one over here. And that one goes about like that, more or less. Let me get the front angle of these tables. It's a little harder to see because there's fewer of them. But that one goes about like that. And then let me get this back angle of that table. And that starts again just underneath this halfway mark. So something like that. So it looks like I just have a bunch of random lines here. But you and I know that this one over here is a desk. This one here is a desk. This one has a piece of paper hanging off of it. This is the front edge of that one desk. Oh, and I can measure that line as well, I suppose. And that one starts just past the midway point. So I roughed it in about right, but that gives me a better sense of where that is. This is this guy's desk, and that tells me that maybe his head was a little too far kind of down here. His shoulder kind of comes down like this. Let me check the angle of that arm. I'm going to just pretend I'm drawing from wrist to elbow here. And that elbow is happening about there, so I know that the sleeve comes around like this. And I don't know, something's going on there. I don't care about you being incredibly detailed. So what I tend to do is I kind of rough things in like this, but then I use this tool here and I come back through and I kind of clean that up. And so I'm going to just call that a blob about like that. I like this straight edge that I get down here, so I'm going to kind of keep that. And his head's doing weird things at the front end here, so I got to get a little bit of that curve, more or less, something like that. And so now I've created this shape, essentially. I should tell you, I did this one a little bit faster and looser in some ways than I did that one. I spent a bit more time kind of clarifying the angles there. And you'll notice that these two edges these two shapes don't match. I've interpreted the same kid, but I've interpreted him differently here, here, and here. And that's fine. One of the parts of the process of drawing is that you are influencing this. So you aren't recreating that perfectly. You are recreating the things you see as being important. These kind of measurement tools and guides are there to help you get things roughly in the right place, but we're going to kind of embrace the little quirks of somebody thinks this area is important and somebody else thinks it's just a blob, right? Similarly, one of the things you'll notice about these 3D drawings is my proportions aren't quite the same. This one's taller than this one is, but they're the same exact width. And so that's going to change I'm sort of shrinking that composition a little bit. Those little idiosyncrasies that happen, I want those to happen. That's part of the fun or the kind of quirks of doing these drawings. So use these planning tools if you find them helpful, but don't worry about perfection.